All right, so I am in my kitchen as per usual. This is episode 20. I'm recording it on a Sunday. It's very early. My camera's right there. It's gonna be hard to look at the camera. Hello, camera. I got my mic in my pocket, the new one. But the main thing is that I'm very much in the middle of moving. The room that's off to this side, the room that's off to this side, the room that's off to this side, the room that's back through there. That one being the bathroom. Like basically everything is taken down at this point. The only things I have left in this house, this cabin in the woods that I've been living in, is um, like a couple of like I even moved my desk. Like all the big ticket items are out. It's like just the little things at this point, and like it's very silly. So like I'm in a very empty house. Basically, all that's left is cooking stuff and the camera equipment because I knew I needed to do this, and also um, it's it's just I haven't moved my food yet. And also it's a whole thing. My eye is itchy all of a sudden. This is very exciting. Anyway, I want to get cracking here. The weather outside is nice. It's a little buggy. It's it is what it is. It's fine. But the main thing is that like it's dark out now. It is currently 9 o'clock and I'm starting dinner. I'm very silly today apparently because I'm just a little bit psychotic, I guess. But the other fun thing, the water's off. We don't know why, but we're just like somewhere in the lines in the camp, we are losing tons of water. So I don't have like water. Like I just don't have running water, so like I can't use the bathroom. Like I have to I'll just like pee in the woods or whatever. Doing number two though, I gotta go find a bathroom that still has water, which is very few places in camp. And then like I can't take a shower. All my clothes are somewhere else. Like I'm very disheveled is really what I'm getting at here. I'm disheveled. Anyway, we're gonna be cooking something, and it's very simple, which is why I chose it. It's a very simple recipe. I'm praying to God that all my camera equipment still works and doesn't shut off after like 5 minutes because it would be rough if that is the case. Because none of it's been unplugged for a while and usually resets after that. But we're gonna go with it on the fly. I did do a check to make sure the mics worked. The mics do work. I was picking up audio from this camera here. Oh, I got the foot pedal going on. This camera here was picking up my audio for a little bit, but that's been fixed. Now I just have the one audio source. It's not doubling up audio anywhere. So yeah, I know I got the whole two cam setup here. It's kind of fun. So really quick, we're gonna get started here. My pot is buried within. Also, I don't have to worry about like my mic right now. I'm like really free and like I can jive now. Anyway, don't mind the cables running everywhere. So what we were making is I'm making a twist on a classic being boxed rice. So this is Ben's original long grain and wild rice with 23 herbs and seasonings. 23, that's like 23 flavors of Dr. Pepper. What it is it's just a box of rice with a packet inside, but I'm going to do some fun stuff to it. So first and foremost, we need to get our, I'm going to make a racket is what I'm going to do. I didn't prepare for this at all. I don't know if you can tell, but it's rough out here. Okay, so pot's on the stove. So in this pot, I'm going to put a couple of ingredients. So what it actually calls for in the recipe, I'm going to read it out really quick. And I'm going to put it underneath here. But basically, all the recipe is we're going to combine the rice in the packet, and then 2¼ cups of water, and then cook. That's the entire recipe. Except we're going to disregard it entirely because this is boring. This is the most boring crap I've ever heard of. So we're going to start out nice and easy with a little bit of butter. I've got Earth Balance because I'm cringe, but that's what we're going to start with. And I'm going to use a knife, and I'm going to be sad that I can't wash it immediately, but it is what it is. So we're going to take a nice dollop of butter. Dollop of butter. Boom. And I'm going to turn on the stove to a nice medium in a little bit because my stove's stupid. So medium in a little bit. I got the butter on right away. And then, because we aren't losers here, right? Water, first off, I don't have any. I don't even have water bottles right now. But, right, the fun part, I've entered standby mode. Hey, stop that. How do I get to settings on this thing? Oh, man, this is a whole thing. Set up. And I gotta go all the way to the bottom. I gotta go to standby mode. I was really hoping it would just not be on. Demo mode. Off. Okay. Alright, I had to fix that. Alright, so. That was really exciting. What was I saying? Oh, water. So water's really stupid and dumb. So what we're gonna use instead is we're gonna use chicken broth. So chicken broth is obviously the go. But we're going to add it in a specific order because I am a little bit of a loon here. I'm going to go by my 1 cup measure. So if you remember, it calls for 2 1/4 cups. So what we're going to do is I'm going to switch it back over here. What's going to happen is we're going to take this chicken broth here, and I'm going to do zabba-da-bum. It really likes to spill this when you first open it. It smells really good too. I've got to be real careful. Okay, that's 1 cup. And I'm going to add my 1 cup, and then I'm going to actually pop open this bad boy, and I'm going to add in my cup of, or my however much rice that is, and I'm going to shake the bag, open the bag, dump all my stuff in there. And then what I'm going to do is, oh, there's not a trash bag in that thing. I just threw it out in the trash, and there's no trash bag in there. I'm going to have to put that in. I forgot I took out the trash earlier. I don't really make a whole lot of trash right now. I do a whole lot of sitting on the couch doing thinking and wasting away. All right, and there's cup number 2 of my fun chicken broth. But as you can see, I'm putting the cap on it. And if you remember, because I know you do, it calls for 2 1/4 cup. And what am I going to do with my 1/4 cup? And I'm going to switch it back over here really quick. I wish I had 2 foot pedals. If only I had 2 of them. So this type of meal, this type of dish, would typically be made with some sort of this is like meant to be a side dish, and so it would be made with a chicken or maybe a white fish, nice like a salmon, right? And then you have some sort of pairing sauce that you would add, right? So you'd have like some sort of sauce that would go on top of the meat and then the rice as well. It'd be like a whole thing. So you mix it all up. I am hearing noises. I really hope no one walks in on this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of build it in. So that butter earlier in this white cooking wine is actually going to basically bake a sort of wine sauce, which basically all wine sauce is just like butter and a little bit of flour and wine. And we're going to do a 1/4 cup of stuff. And then we're going to put the cover on and let it cook. And that's the entire thing. That's the whole bit. I'm a genius. I am an artisan. And that is the whole bit. We're going to be checking in on this periodically because it takes about 30 minutes to make. But that means I got 30 minutes to yap. And so I'm going to stand here and yap and maybe walk around a little bit. So first off, where did my drink go? It's right there. So moving is weird, especially right now because I'm currently in 2 places at once. But moving isn't even the weird part. The weirdest part is that my boyfriend left 2 days ago to go to do a thing that he has to do. So now I'm both full-on manic moving into his parents' house, but also I'm just interacting with his parents without him there anymore, which hasn't really happened before, which is kind of a weird thing to say. I've been with him for a year, and I've been over to his house many times. I've interacted more one-on-one, I think, with my boyfriend's siblings' child. Shout out that guy. He's hilarious. He's 2. I think I've spent more time with them than I think I have with the parents one-on-one up until now. Now I have spent more time. But with my boyfriend Bennett, his dad, I moved a bunch of heavy furniture today with him. A lot of the last big things because he has a van, and so we used his van to move a bunch of stuff, which was very exciting because he is very different from my dad. Because my dad is more my dad is a think do now, think later. We'll just break our backs. Who cares? I don't care. We'll just pick up the thing. And Bennett's dad is very very think now, do in a second. Like he is still moving, but very much like at his pace that he knows he's good. He's like, yeah, we're gonna do this the right way. Like it's gonna be a little jank because like we're not gonna think it through all the way, but like we're gonna think a little bit. And honestly, I kind of dig it. It's a good time. Like when me and my dad moved the the desks. Like the desk is like the main thing that I'm thinking of. Someone just drove really fast by my house. I really hope they don't try to do something. I hope they don't need me. Um, but what's it called? The desk. Like when me and my dad moved it, we just picked it up. And then when we moved it the second time, we used a furniture dolly, and it was kind of hellish, and everyone complained. And when when me and Bennett's dad moved it, we just strapped two like fairly decently sized furniture moving blocks where you've got the rectangle of wood and then you got the four rotating wheels on them. They used to like move kind of big furniture around. We just strapped two of those to the back of it, rolled it onto its back, and then just rolled it out of the place. It was like the easiest. He even had a ramp for the van. Like it was the easiest move of my entire life. Like we thought about it for like 3 seconds. He was like, "Oh, I have these things. We'll just do it." I'm sure my dad also owns these things. He just did not think of it. Like it's crazy. But yeah, like I'm in the middle of moving. We're gonna check on this in a second. Don't worry, I didn't forget about it. But I need a drink. I'm really parched. It could be that I haven't drank water today too. I feel kind of weird. But oh wait, also to pair with this meal, we're gonna have glazed chocolate donut holes. They might be kind of awful right now, but we're gonna have them. Those are thawed. I thawed those earlier. Um, I'm in a weird place right now. Anyway, but what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. I don't remember what it was. I don't know. We'll check on the food really quick. So, food is you let it cook a little bit, and then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab my rice palette that I use, right, and we're gonna just give it a little stir. Make sure all the butter's melted. We don't want any of the rice to stick to the bottom, which would be unfortunate. That's like the worst thing that can happen in this point. And then we want to shake, make sure none of those herbs and spices really stick to our thing. We do it back, and we put down our little rice paddle on the thing. So the fun part of cooking this is that you kind of have to free ball it because you cook it, and the goal is to cook it down to where it just barely doesn't have any liquid yet, and then you stir it really like aggressively. You put it off to the side and leave it for about 5 minutes uncovered, which is like the big wahoo of this dish, which is kind of fun, and it kind of really completes it. Like it's one of the few things where it's like this part of the directions I do not skip. It's like, hey, I know we're Frankenstein, I know we're kind of making it our own, but it is right when it says to take it off the heat and leave it for 5 minutes. So we got to make sure we're kind of keeping an eye on it, checking it every 5 or 10 minutes, making it all good. I'm gonna cough. That or I just have to breathe. I guess I just had to breathe. Other things though that are happening is like as I said though, my boyfriend's not here, so my sleep schedule is immediately gone out the window. Like immediately. Like I lay in a bed, I can't sleep. Just where to go? And so like I just can't sleep now. So like last night I was up until like 1 a.m. No, that's a lie. I was up till 2 a.m. Which is very new for me because I've been very much like I get in bed with the boyfriend at like I don't know like 9, 10, and I'm out like a light, just gone. And that's exciting, but also like it's kind of weird because like I like used to back in the day stay up late all the time, and now it's like this is a weird feeling staying up late. I don't know how I feel about this, and it's just very very odd to be in this situation. The other thing, like I don't know, but my boyfriend not being like ever present is very drastically changed my life in the past like 2 days. And also like he is in a spot where he's busy and he doesn't have a lot of cell service, so he just doesn't like we text every now and then, but like very infrequently. And it's a lot of just like I love yous and like stuff like that. And just like I'm just like full on manic mode right now, and like I've vacuumed 6 times and I've moved furniture around, and like I'm trying to like reset this place so I can leave it and not think about it ever again. But also like I'm trying to like finish cooking and doing all my things, but also like the water's off, It's just crazy. It's crazy. And I'm also in. This is the calendar right here. In 5 days, 4 days, 5 days, 4 days, 5 days. 4 days is the start of um, the summer camp, which is where I am. The summer camp I work at starting. So I have to be ready. I have to have food prepared, which I'm gonna have to cook somewhere. I don't know if I'm gonna do it here. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of food in my house, but um, I'm gonna have to cook for essentially I think eight meals. Like I'm gonna have eight. I have to have 8 meals prepared for dinners, and then I have to have an idea of what I'm gonna be doing for lunches um, in 4 days, which is stressful. Also, I have to finish moving. it's it's a stressful time for me. I'm gonna be real, but there have been some highlights. I will admit. Um, I've done a lot of call it chilling, which is not what it is. I've only recently discovered what YouTube Shorts are, and by that I mean I started watching them, which is bad for my soul. So I do a bit of sitting now. The other thing is I've been doing a lot of trying to figure out what the new space is going to look like, but with the knowledge that I'm only going to be spending 1 day a week there for the next like 6 weeks, 2 months ish. It's a very odd thing. Oh, gee whiz! I just realized that I have to do like a bunch of online paperwork stuff for camp, and that's in 4 days. So that's very, very yikes. Oh, another big adjustment. I don't have any notes for that. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't have any notes for this one. I'm just kind of freeballing it. But I don't have any. No, that's not the sentence that wanted to start. Oh yeah. So the cat. Sorry, a car drove past and it rumbled, and I thought someone was on my porch. Um, there's a bunch of cars. What is going on? I don't want to know. It's like the fifth car. What the heck's going? I don't care. I promise I don't care. Um, but what was I talking? Oh, the cat. The cat's what I wanted to talk about. So one of the first things to actually move out of the house was the cat. And I think I talked about it last time, but not having the cat in the house is very sad. Sad's the word I'm going to use because it's like I know why I did it because she's just at the parents' house, but like I miss the cat. I miss always being able to like bully the cat and have the cat bully me back. Like that was a big fun time. And the fun part about that though is that she has now decided to bully the cat that's already there. And by bully I mean she just is excited that there's another cat, and so she really wants to play with the cat, and so she like tries to play with him a little bit, but he is old. He's like 8, and he is very much resigned to napping and chilling, which is not what she's about. She's about playing and being funny and chasing a stick because she's stupid. So that's exciting. But yeah, the cat's having a good time. All right, we're going to switch back over here. I can hear it bubbling and stuff. So we're gonna give it a little shaky shake. Don't want to get any extra stuff. Oh yeah, that's starting to get kind of good. Ooh, steam's hot. Reminder, guys, steam is hot. We want to do the same thing. We're just trying to make sure that doesn't stick to the bottom. I'm gonna give it a little shake. Try not to get too much of that stuck to our thing, but it's gonna happen a little bit. And this is a whole thing. Like I'm genuinely telling you, I don't need to click that. I need to click this. I would really need a second one of these, dude. I need 8 of these things. On my Amazon, it says has one, needs 3 because I have 3 cameras. Though I could always buy more. But you know, what was I saying? I don't know what I was saying. But that's like the whole idea with this. This is just a side dish. It's very easy. You just check on it every now and then. But my added perks here of the butter and the wine sauce and the chicken broth really take it up a notch. I eat this regularly as just a meal, as like a lunch or a dinner. Like I will straight up just make this and I will just put it in a bowl and I will eat it and I'll feel full. I'm sure it's not good for me, but um, I do it anyway. Um, I'm like spacing out a lot right now. It's like not good for me. Another fun thing about the leaving for 6 months is I've talked about it before, I think, but I happen to run a Minecraft server on like the side as like a thing that I do. You might have heard of it. I may or may not have done an entire episode on it. But part of that is I'm disappearing to the woods for 6 weeks, and it's very hard to like maintain a server for that long when you're gone. So I had to meet with like the staff that I had have and make sure that's all good. And I also had to go home to my parents' condo to figure out all the stuff. So I had to like take stuff off the computer. I reset the computer. I did a whole bunch of stuff like maintenance stuff for it. And I ended up driving there and then driving back and then driving there and then driving back. And then I forgot to change it so that it doesn't like go into sleep mode. Because when it goes into sleep mode, I can't connect to it remotely. So I had to ask my dad to turn it on and off again so I could connect to it and turn off sleep mode. It was the silliest thing that I could have forgotten, but oh my gosh, I'm so glad it wasn't something that I had to drive down there and fix. It was silly. And now the Minecraft server, honestly, at the time of this post, is probably up. Also, the time of this post, I will be in camp. I'm recording this as much as in advance as I really could feasibly do. Could manage with my brain. Another fun thing about packing is anytime I want something, it's in the wrong place, um, and like it's just all in the wrong spot all the time, constantly. And also, the more stuff I bring over there, the more stuff that I end up either blocking other stuff, or I end up putting down and being like, well, this is gonna sit here for a while. The saddest of all of these is a NAS, which I talked about last time, I believe. That's just going to sit in the basement for like 2 months before I can use it, which is kind of sad. But I'll get used to it, I guess. I'm really hoping the mic picks up as much as I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is, but from looking at the little bar on the thing. But yeah, it's very silly. I don't think, is there a time thing on here? How long have I been yapping? 22 minutes. Holy moly, I'm a freaking yapper. Anyway, we're gonna go back over here. Since I'm standing next to it, I'm a little bit more needy than I'm being a little bit more needy than I normally would be. But giving it a little stirs and stuff isn't bad. But normally I would just sit down for like 5 minutes or whatever, and then get up and check on it every now and then. But it is what it is. I'm standing next to it, so I just hear it bubbling more, and I can kind of see it more. But the fun thing to do with this is have it as a side, and then you can have other stuff with it. As I already said, chicken being the one that I've done the most. The best one that I've had is chicken piccata. Chicken piccata with this on the side is peak. Honestly, chicken piccata being a sort of a breaded chicken with a lemon sauce and those funny little peas that aren't peas. Where the heck are they called? I got some down here. What the hell? These things. Capers. That's what they're called. They're real tasty. I love these things. I love capers. But it is what it is. Oh my gosh. Oof, my back. Holy schmoly. What else do I have? Hopefully nothing on there is revealing. I also have some. I've got some ice cream for later. But I don't know. I don't know if I really have a whole lot else to talk about. I don't know. Moving's on the brain. I'm putting off the whole desk PC idea because I don't got time. I don't know. I've also been listening. I've been listening to a lot of we'll call it inspirational YouTube lately, and by that I mean I've been listening to a lot of videos in the car because I've been driving a lot, and a lot of them have the same message or end up in the same kind of place. And it's making me think a lot about what I'm doing and what I'm creating and stuff. And it's often, I would say it gives me imposter syndrome, but I also do not think, I guess that is just imposter. I was gonna say I'm given imposter syndrome, but I don't have anyone to. I'm not impostering anyone. Um, like I'm not the guy, but also that's literally what imposter syndrome is. So maybe I do. But I'm just like a genuinely nervous guy. So like I think I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, but a lot of the videos specifically, I've been rewatching a lot of H Bomber Guy videos, and I most recently rewatched the 4 hour plagiarism video, like the latest one, for like the fourth time probably. And the ending to which he gets to is that the hardest part about, or the biggest thing of plagiarism is, or not the biggest thing, but the point that he comes to is if you plagiarize someone, if you're trying to be someone, um, uh, like plagiarizing their work, committing plagiarism in like stealing mannerisms, stealing, um, maybe clothing choices, maybe editing choices. You're stealing all these little bits from all these little people, and there's a line where it's like you can take inspiration and you can literally just like rip off a person. But the big thing is that if you try to be someone else, you won't find you, and that's like really interesting to me because I've been trying to write the one video essay for a while, and there are a lot of parts of it that I can tell are influenced by different people. So like different parts of the essay are more H Bomber Guy being silly, or there are different parts being CJ the X being really deep or whatever, and there are parts that are very breadsword over explaining, and uh, like it's just very like I can tell who I'm channeling at different parts of the essay, and that's not good. And the other thing is I'm also realizing as I reread it and I keep trying to workshop it is that the parts where I am trying to come to a point where I'm trying to do the writing bit, like doing the part that is like the hard part of the essay that isn't just like summarizing what's going on in a show or talking about a manga, is that part I'm having the most difficulty with, and I often write the least amount, and that's the part where I'm being me. And having trouble being me without channeling anyone is like, it's like, do I even want to be a writer? And it's like, yes, of course I want to be a writer. Like that's, I never really thought about that until just now. I guess I do want to, like, I don't know, I like being creative, but I have trouble finding my own voice, essentially. Like, I know what I want to say, but I can't say it myself. I have to be someone else to say it, which is really interesting because, like, the whole point of that essay, in a nutshell, to just kind of yap here while I'm cooking, is the goal with it, which I've talked about before a little bit, is it's a really basically here's the summary of the essay off the top of my head because I want to talk about it a little bit more. It is a it starts with a very pretentious like setup story where I talk about the myth of um, Icarus and how he gets the wings, he flies too close to the sun, falls into the ocean, and all we can do is watch, right? As Daedalus, his father, all you can do in that situation is watch him take it too far and fall. And then I talk about two shows and how they kind of went from a good thing and went either flew too close to the sun or flew too close to the waves, which is the two warnings that Daedalus gives to Icarus. And so one of them is Darling of the Franks, which, as we all know, is good for like the first arc, and then the second arc just kind of it just tries to do too much and it falls apart and it's bad, which is the obvious, flying too close to the sun. And then the other one is Infinite Stratos, which is not a good anime by any means and is probably racist. But the first season is really fun and goofy, and it works, and it hits this really nice balance of like goofy harem nonsense and like action that I think it strikes pretty well. And then the second season is entirely filler, and it gets no season 3 because that second season it languishes. It goes into the waves. It suffers the same fate, albeit through a different method. You can do the two things, and that's what the first part of the whole thing is about. Which it could end there, but I only wrote that part because I really wanted to talk about how um, the third thing, which is the manga Yuma Kaimeri, and how splitting the difference is when you get lost. Because everyone likes to talk about things that lost their way and like, oh, they went too high for their britches or whatever. I don't know how that got there. Or it's like, but basically it's like, oh, that one flew too high and it crashed, or that one, oh, it petered off into whatever. And then people also like to talk about the ones that really rode that razor's edge, and it's like, oh, it got really good, and it was only a thriller, and it got really close to the edge, but it never lost control. Or it's like, ooh, that slice of life anime, it kind of chills all the way down, but it doesn't go too low, it doesn't get too boring. It just rides that line. And people like to talk about those, but the ones that fall like in that middle bit where they just stay safe without going too far often just don't get talked about, even though they're not bad. They're not bad by any means. They're not even they're not offensive. They're not overwhelmingly good. But if they stay there too long, and they can often finish their runs, but they just aren't talked about. Like you can read 4 million top 10 lists, and they're probably not going to be on any of them because they're too in the middle. And the hypothesis that I wish to come to in that is that actually like a 7 out of 10, an 8 out of 10, like by whatever metric you're using, right? A 7 or 8 out of 10 is probably actually the best anime you can find because they're kind of beautiful in that way, where it's like they don't go too crazy. They are just what they are, and it's a great starting point. It's like that is a thing. It was unabashedly its own, and it didn't go too crazy, and it just was, and that's fine, and I like that. And so the goal is to talk about Yuma Kaimeri in that way, where I can just talk about Yuma Kaimeri and how it fumbles in the beginning, which is fine. The first 19 chapters, or the first 18 chapters, are noticeably worse than the rest of it. And it kind of makes sense because the guy hadn't really written a whole lot. And he's kind of learning how to do it as he goes. And to be fair, because it's a monthly and it's 30 chapters, or 30 pages a chapter, those first 18 chapters are a year and a half. But it's a year and a half of learning, and then he channels that into chapters 19 to 20 and absolutely hits the ground running. Like, Yuma Kaimeri as a manga is really, like, the beginning it's not bad by any means. It's just like dense and clunky, especially the dialogue, but like also just like the pacing. It's kind of like just blocky. It's like, and then he smoothes it out. It's really good, and it's 141 chapters, and it's basically like 2 arcs. Like, it's pretty short, all things considered, and it is, by all metrics, probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10. Like, by all metrics, if you like put it all in like a graph and you did all the thing and you interviewed 1 million people that have already all read it, it's probably a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. But also, it's almost definitely like my favorite manga of all time. Like, nothing really comes close. And you could say, hey, that's because it's your first manga. But also, like, I read a bunch of manga. I jumped into Yuma Kaimeri before it finished. Like, I jumped into it partway through, and then I happened to be along for the last, like, 2 or 3 years of its run. Like, it was on for, like, 18, it was, like, on for, like 15 years? I don't know, it was on for a while. 141 chapters divided by 12 is, 144 is, it's on, so yeah, it's, like, over a decade. Over a decade of it was running. I was there for barely a fifth of it. And during that time when it was still wrapping up, I was reading other things, and there was other things that I liked. I thought Girls Last Tour was really good, or I thought what is it? After the Rain was good, or I thought that I don't know. I think right now that Fool Knight's really good. Fool Knight could potentially overtake it, but in my heart of hearts, Yuma Kaimeri it just is, like it just is the favorite manga, despite it not really going, it not punching. It didn't like it punched above its weight in a way that it shouldn't have been able to, and I like that. I don't want to spoil it at all. I don't want to like spoil the entire video essay, but that part of the essay, the part of the essay where I'm trying to talk about how like how it feels and like how it is just the best, what the best thing that it is, despite it being like if I put on my objective glasses, like it's an 8 out of 10 probably. I don't know, but like also it isn't. It's the best one, and trying to come to that conclusion and write that part of it is really hard when I'm not channeling like doing a CJ the X funny re-explanation of the plot to get to the point of a thing. And I don't know, it's kind of frustrating when that happens because it's like I want to express this idea that's very clear in my head, but my body is puppeteered alcoholically and stupid, and I can't read. I'm also illiterate. Like it just doesn't work. And so trying to come to that conclusion and talk about it, and also like trying not to spoil everything, it's a lot. So this is like almost done. I'm gonna give it like a minute more, maybe. Ooh, it's like really close. Okay, I'm gonna give it like a minute. All right, so everyone count with me. That's a joke. I'm not gonna do that. But I'm gonna do some. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, the Yumikai Mary essay thing. This is definitely, one second, I am too distracted by this. I feel like this is, yeah, this is basically done. So what we're going to do in this case, because as we can tell by kind of stirring it up, we can see that all the liquid has been disappeared. And when that happens, you don't want to overcook it, which you can overcook it. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. Like you can definitely overcook this by a little bit. And it ends up perfectly fine. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to flatten it out, and then we're going to turn off the stove, and we are going to move it to a burner that does not have, what is it called? It does not have heat. And the other thing is we're going to leave it uncovered. That's the important part. It's got to set up, kind of. I don't know why it has to do that, but it does. So we're going to leave that there for a little bit. So, but the main point I was trying to come to is that in this essay that I'm trying to write, it's very hard to articulate the thoughts that I want to do, where it's like, okay, you've got the different ways that things can end up, which is, you can overshoot, you can play it too safe and fall into the waves, you can ride those edges really lovely, but that middle bit, there's a magic in there somewhere, where it just, like, a thing is a thing, and it works. And to me, Yumikai Mary is that thing. And if you decide to read that, the manga, you should, by the way. You shouldn't watch the anime. It kind of sucks. But the manga is really good. The manga kind of goes hard. But also, like, there's like a million essays that I want to write and a million ideas that I have that I'm never going to put into writing because I keep not doing it. Being a creative while being, what is it? The CJ the X video, I keep bringing them up. Or them up, really. But he, they, the X. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, the CJ the X video about art sins. I feel like I'm like all of them. I'm kind of the worst. But I'm trying to get better at it, which is kind of why I'm doing the podcasting thing. And I started this whole tangent by talking about that I've been listening to, different videos and stuff, and they all kind of end up at the same point. And one of those things is earlier today, on my drive, to Ben's parents' house, my boyfriend's parents' house, to drop some stuff off, I listened to the Schlatt X Mr. Beast weekly slap video that came out like 2 days ago, and in it reflected a lot of things that I already thought, while also being more than that, where it was like, it was like, I didn't make money for the first, X years of doing this. And it's like, I don't expect to make money from this. Like, I already think that way. But also, They talk about being like, well, if someone's online told you to quit and that made you quit, like you shouldn't be doing this. And there's like a lot of ideas in there. Um, but the other thing is like I like making content, but also like I don't know. There's like I have a weird relationship with making things, and I hope to through the podcast, which is what this is. It's a podcast somehow. What this is essentially is like me putting my foot down and saying, hey, every week I'm going to make this thing, no matter how good it is, and I'm hopefully going to learn something along the way. Maybe it'll build confidence, maybe it'll become something, but it's creating to create. That's Evan Mimosa. I forget what his name is. He's a YouTuber I like. I think his name's Evan Mimosa. I could be entirely wrong. He's the one that made the camera video. That's really good. It's the camera, but it's the tiny action camera with the manual focus lenses. Very good video. Highly recommend. I also recommend reading Yumakai Mary and then coming back to the ending of Yumakai Mary about every 3 months because it's banger. Make that every month, I think. I think every month I kind of come back to the Yumakai Mary last like 4 or 5 chapters. It goes crazy. It's just so good. It's a nice little climax, then falling action for a couple. It's like it's just good. Just wraps it up. Nice little bow. It's awesome. I cried the first time I read it. I'll admit, I'm a bit of a sap, but that's this. Oh, I forgot to put the garbage in. No one reminded me. What the heck? Ah, I'm being attacked by the garbage. All right, someone. Okay, so zabadabum. You guys stink. I can't believe no one reminded me of this. Bum 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 bum. There we go, and then we do the thing, and we go schwupp, and then we put it in the trash. Some bum bum. Ugh. Hope everyone's taking a nice look at me. There we go. Look at that. Trash complete. All right. So now, the other thing. So now I'm going to grab a brisk, changing it up off the Dr. Pepper, and I'm going to crack it. I cut my nail like slightly too short, and it hurts whenever I open a can, and it's been a rough day. All right. That goes down. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to grab a bowl. We're going to stir this up. We're going to move it over here so you guys can see. So as we can see, it kind of set up a little bit. It's still very warm. It's still very nice, but it's set up a little bit. We're going to pour this into my bowl. And we're not going to miss any of the rice. We're going to make sure we get all of it. We're going to make sure that we really, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling right now. We're going to make sure that we get every last grain of rice, because they are all oh so good. Bum, bum, bum. All right. That's pretty much all of them. And I'm gonna eat the paddle. Ooh, I got my nose a little bit. All right, that goes in the sink, even though I can't wash it. And then that is what it looks like. Look at that. Oh, yeah. That's the good stuff. And then I'm going to go a spoon out the thing. Baba booey. And then we're going to switch back to the main camera for the closing here. I got it in my bowl. Ooh, that was hot. Oh, perfectly done rice. It's got a bit of the wetness. It's got all the flavors of the broth. It's got all the flavors of the packet. Oh, that's good. These are really good stuff. I could and I will. I will be eating all of this. Oh my god, it's so good. I can't stop. I can't stop myself. Anyway, before I eat all this, I'm gonna close this thing out. For dinner, obviously, I will be having Old Ben's whatever. I will I'll link it in the description. I'll make an affiliate link or something. I don't know, I'll be crazy. I'm not gonna do that. But that stuff. All right, one sec. I gotta have one more bite. This is it's so good. It's so good. But I usually close this thing out, or I start with the weather, as of course I do. It is now almost 10 o'clock, by the way. This is going to be an uncut, just the whole thing. But what's it called? I was saying something. Oh, that's for dinner. I hope you enjoyed this fever dream of a cooking podcast episode. But that is dinner. It's real good. Let's say just for those that, once again, I like how you remembered. I'm gonna have one of these donut holes. Should I have one of them? Because it's like a whole thing. Nah, I'll save it for another day. Maybe I'll eat them as a snack on my way over to the parents' house. But I will see you guys in another episode in like a week. It'll be exciting, I promise. But yeah, this is the plan. I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna eat this all right now as I review the footage. It's gonna be awesome. Anyway, see you guys until next one. This is How do I stop recording? Wait, before I stop recording, I'm gonna quickly. Wow! Oh my gosh! I'm at the stove. Wow!